As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
I'm gonna die!
Taking them so long.
Hey, these guys are professionals. They're the best.
Totally. I hate a guy with a car and no sense of humor.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
Oh, yeah, the Great Bambino. Of course. I thought you said the Great Bambi.
Absolutely love having our next guest on. She's Senator Heather Gustafson. Senator, where do you Senate out of? What's your district?
I'm Senate District 36, 9 cities, but the 3 biggest ones are Vadnais Heights, White Bear Lake, and Lino Lakes.
All right. We Outlanders call that the big city. So you're you're a city gal. Okay. I say this with all due respect, nothing because you're a woman, but we haven't talked since the holidays. I would believe that Senator Heather Gustafson is a huge love the holiday gal. You got the decorations. You love. Yes, you're shaking your head.
Oh, yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
How was Thanksgiving for you and yours?
It was good. So my kids were actually with their dad on Thanksgiving, but we went and visited my relatives in Wisconsin,
Okay.
and it's also hunting. It's a hunting opener over in Wisconsin. So recently, so there was a lot of that. We didn't get a deer this year in Wisconsin, but
You
fingers
hunt
crossed
yourself?
in Minnesota. I don't, not deer. I don't hunt deer. I've gone
okay.
pheasant hunting and grouse hunting, but I've not. I don't do
right.
deer.
All right, still another layer to your onion. I like that. I like that a lot. All right, and now, so I lead with this, and again, maybe it sounds sexy because you're a woman. I don't. I just see in your eyes when you talk about your kids and stuff. So, are you the glam the house up Christmas? I mean, is your house a winter wonderland?
So we have a pretty modest house. It's pretty small, little ranch rambler, but it is decked out. I'm looking at my tree. Every time you bring it up, I glance over and look at my big tree.
Love that.
But yeah, no, it's we're all ready to go.
Good.
We do it pretty early. The kids really get into it too. Some of them were home for a little bit on Thanksgiving, and we decorated. And it is my favorite holiday.
I just love that. And you can tell
are not as good.
you light up when you talk about your kids and the holidays, and I just love that about you. So, okay, good. We got a lot to talk about, and a lot of it to me is almost nonsensical. If it wasn't so important, that makes no sense whatsoever. But here's what I want to talk about with you. You're on the front end of this whole fraud thing. You tried really hard to get this Office of Inspector General thing passed because you knew there's issues, and we got to clean this thing up.
Mm-hmm.
And the news story yesterday, front page, Trump says it's $1 billion. And the Star Trib went through this whole article about, it probably isn't going to ever reach $1 billion. Fox 9 comes out, they're looking maybe 800 million. Senator, I don't want to be ripped off $1.50 when I, paid too much for a coffee. I seriously don't care if it's 800 million or 1 billion. Your gut instinct on a number, I'm not over and under where you think this will fall when it all shakes out.
Oh, wow. That I cannot answer. I don't know. I'm with you, though. I don't think, I saw the back and forth online about, is it $1 billion in the Star Tribune? I think they're just reporting what it is that we can see in black and white on spreadsheets, and that's where we're at. I don't think
Even Care 11 looked because we came
matters. I don't think the amount, no matter what it is going to make people angry, myself included. So I don't know if we want to start to battle around semantics around that. And it isn't just semantics. I should say that it is. It's important.
But here's why it seems to me, I can't see a reason why the Star Trib would write an article on it, except for to get look at the shiny object over here. Because even Care 11 came out and said, we know 300 million has just been feeding our futures that have been found guilty so far. So you're at 3. We haven't looked at any of the others. Maybe we only get to 5. I don't care. But why is that a story then? Other than to say, Trump says $1 billion. Like he's never exaggerated before. This is the news story. Trump exaggerated. But that being said, it makes no never mind to you, I, and regular Minnesotans. If it's just the 300 that we know for feeding our futures, I'm mad. Mm-hmm. If it's $1 million out of the odd, I don't care. But that's the story. Now, why is it a story? That's what I don't get. The story should be, why did Gustafson not get her bill passed so somebody we can trust can get in there and clean it up?
Right.
That's the story.
I think the story should be, right, what are we going to do to get an independent office of inspector general across the finish line?
Yeah.
That's all I care about. I don't dive into a lot of the back and forth. Every once in a
Yeah.
while I do, and then I instantly regret it. But if you go online and all of the fighting back and forth, I'm really just trying to keep my eyes on the prize, and that is to pass through the House one of the most most significant anti-fraud bill that the Senate has passed in Minnesota state history, and then to get it across the finish line in the House and to get it to the governor's desk. That's my goal.
Okay. So, and I love that. And you know, I've been backing that since you got on. You told me here, and we love that. I want it. I want it passed bad. Here's my issue, and I'm not trying to put any water on your snowball going downhill here. It didn't get passed last time. You got it. 60 of the 67 senators all said, you bet. Bipartisans, and like, here we go. And the House just never brought it. It was done before it got there. So if that is the way this is going to go, what else can we do? And here's Al's thought. In that article, again, 918 program integrity cases. Of all the things that the Department of Human Services does, 918 of them are being looked into as suspicious. 95 have been to law enforcement. That's 10% have already been, you're stealing, here, you go over here. 485, over half, are holding credible allegations against half of those. How does the Senate, the House, because I don't know how anybody can vote against, not put something in the writing of the laws we already have to stop half of the program's participants have credible allegations against them?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even if we can't get the inspector general, we must be able to stop what we're doing and do it better. What could we do?
I think that was always my pushback to, when people would say, we don't really need an inspector general. It's not going to solve all the problems, and we already have things to play. And I always say, no, of that. No, this is a much bigger problem. Fraud in general is very nuanced. There are many moving parts. I'm looking for at least one thing that we can do that would make a difference, that is independent, separate of all the agencies, and answers only to the people of Minnesota. That's what my bill does. But is it going to do everything? No. But it is a significant thing. And then we can move on and we can look at other places. And you can bet, I'm sure, whether people like it or not, and I think most people do like it because they want to see us fighting, we're going to be talking about solutions to fraud in the upcoming session. And that'll be a bunch of different things outside of just the OIG bill.
It's interesting, I think, because when I talk to my buddies, again, just having cigars and we can solve the world's problems. Trust me, couple of cocktails and a cigar in my garage, you bring some Democrats over, we'll get this fixed. Here's an example. Yeah. So my gal, my hairstylist, and you're saying hairstyle, well, she's a barber, come on, gets checked out once a year, every 2 years or something like that. Somebody little comes through and make sure the combs are in the blue stuff, and she's sweeping up, the hair every couple of years. We can do that for a barber, but that isn't even in the rules for, let's say, the autism centers. No one drives out there and says, oh, you actually have a center and people show up. We don't even do that. That seems like a no-brainer. Now, maybe, how many people are we going to hire? Well, maybe the barber guy who checked my barber says, oh, we got 5 autism centers in the Blue Earth area. We'll drive over there that same day I'm checking barber shops out and see if they have an address, see if kids are coming. It seems like common sense stuff is what's left us.
I think yes. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and that makes sense when you tell it like that. But I think what we're missing is that the difference between making sure that a barbershop has clean utensils is much different than the bureaucracy that happens with some of these programs. And it's not a Minnesota thing. That is because we're dealing also with the federal government. And so when all of these different groups are working with each other and these programs are complicated, but they're also like extremely needed. That's why it's not as easy as like going around and making sure that everything is working. But
you all use guardrails as the rule, right? And as I understand the autism center thing, this was a Minnesota invention, right? We went to Medicare and said, hey, we have an autism thing. We think we could help these kids out. It was like, it isn't like this autism bill we have here is across the country. There's a few states that went along with us, but we kind of came up with this. So we're going to set up autism centers. I think it's great. Autism is, you can obviously see there's more autistic kids than there used to be and yada, yada. But we literally let people with no teaching experience, no licensures, no anything, set up a business and just get running, it seems ripe for fraud. If Al can start a business about something he knows nothing about and make money, my point is even the minimum guardrails, again, back to my buddies talking in the garage, seems like we didn't try. We weren't trying to make sure that, and that's what kind of tease people off. We can get ripped off. Bad people do bad things, but if we don't make them at least try hard, then we got an issue.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay,
I think that, we do have to take a look at these programs. Here's the deal. There are many people who depend on these policies and these programs. And if we can't, and we need to fund them. And if we can't be trusted with the money that's going into the programs, then it's going to be hard to fund these programs. And people need them. It is critical. And so it is frustrating. I'm with you. Like, we need to make sure that it's running efficiently so that people can be, we can take care of Minnesotans.
I don't want it to be a trick question. I got to go to break, so I'll throw it to you now, and you can have the 2 minutes or whatever to think it through. So there's this disabled housing program that the governor put the kibosh on for 6 months. He said, we're going to look into it. We've got this. I presume he must have some feeling. There's some stuff going on there. But this is to your point. I presume there are some real disabled folks that need housing and need that money that you just can't turn it off for 6 months. And if you can turn it off for 6 months, do we really need it? I guess you almost prove your point. How important is it? Is it so much fraud that we're going to cast away the 10% that isn't fraud and we just can't do anything? We got to do something about that. I want to talk to you on the other side about the ability to just turn some of the spigots off. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. I've got our Senator Heather Gustafson on the Al Travis Show.
This season, bring the whole family to see Irving Berlin's White Christmas. This smash hit musical based on the classic film returns by popular demand to delight you at Chanhassen dinner theaters. With loads of laughter and a stunning showcase of Irving Berlin songs, White Christmas is a celebration of the romance, friendship, and magic of the holidays. Make your plans today to see White Christmas. Visit chanhassendt.com.
You know that car sound that sounds like a cricket playing a banjo? Jay's can fix that. You know when you step on the brakes and your car sounds like a pair of tennis shoes in the dryer? Paul is the guy who specializes in that. And you know that sound that never happens when the mechanic's around? Paul took a whole course on that. If you own a car, you need to know Paul. Paul owns Jay's Auto Shop, 202 North Main Street, Blue Earth, 525-1052, 525-1052.
amongst friends. The Al Travis Show. Nothing but talk.
I've got our Senator Heather Gustafson on with me. And, Senator, here's my point. I guess if I had an autistic child and all this stuff's going on, or autism child, and this money is not going where it was supposed to go, I'd be mad on a hornet, right? If my kid was disabled and now they're going to turn this program off for 6 months because other people were stealing from it, I'd be mad on a hornet. I don't, we're flooding the zone with cash, $78 billion, and it's not getting where we think it's going to go. Does it prove we don't need the program if you can turn it off for 6 months?
No. I mean, I think,
okay.
well, that's it. Again, I don't serve.
I'm not trying to box you in on this. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I sometimes when I don't serve on the Health and Human Service Committee. So sometimes when we get into the nuances of this, I always want to phone a friend. But I will say, I have toured several in my district, and I know that they depend. They're well run. Yeah. They are needed. They are people who live in my community who need that extra assistance. And I think there's a lot of concern right now. I think everybody acknowledges we want tighter oversight, better guardrails. We want to be responsible with this funding. And at the same time, it's really hard when you see that it is directly hurting people too. So
And on that, this program will tell you everybody that needs $190 a month to feed their family, I want them to get SNAP. So this next comment is not, I want them to get SNAP. But we're sitting here with the president, the federal government saying, we send you the SNAP money. We're going to pull that back if you don't give us your SNAP rules. We want to see who's getting it in 5 different states. And Minnesota says no. In fact, sued them to not do it. And I can't for the life of me think, why not? Because if we hurt those poor folks that need $190 a month to make some political point, I'm going to be pretty ticked off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean...
And that's on Trump as well. We're playing politics with this stuff.
I was just going to say, this administration loves to be cruel on purpose. I mean, I get that they're looking at this and they see this political opportunity to attack a guy who ran against him last year. Okay, fine. But it is always at the expense of lower middle class people like myself or people who are struggling to get by. And it's always at their expense, right? And it is cruel. We talk about fraud and we don't talk about the implications of what it's like for a president to rage tweet in the middle of the night, or just say it in a press conference, calling 80,000 of our residents garbage. And no one acknowledges that is not okay.
This show has, we're going to say it right. This show right here, we don't use that word. We don't use that word in my house. Not garbage, but the other, fine. We don't use that word. I don't think you call it.
Right.
Yes. It's not what we do. We're not pro it.
Yeah.
It's going to get worse, folks. At some point, you got to realize Trump says stupid stuff. All right. You got to get to a point. But on the other hand, then it can't be.
I guess my point,
everything
though,
against him because of it.
Where's the line? And clearly there's no bottom with him, right? He's going to say terrible stuff. And yet we excuse it to say, oh, that's just trumping Trump. No, that's not an excuse. We can't normalize that. But also we can't get sucked in. We have a real problem here in Minnesota that we should all come together. I keep looking to the Senate where Republicans and Democrats came together to fight a common problem. We didn't fight each other. We fought this problem. That's what we need to do here in our state. And we can't get excited about something Trump says, who knows nothing about us, does not care about Minnesotans, does not know who we are, does not know anything about anything other than what could maybe something he could take advantage politically. And we can't let him distract us when we're trying to do, which is to come together to solve this problem that's affecting all of us. And I really wish we could just
we've got to grow up. That was going to be
from this debate. Yeah.
Our last topic was going to be this idea that then the Senate Democrats sent to the Senate Republicans in Minnesota this, you've got to condemn what Trump said. We're condemning it on this show, but now Julia Coleman, who's coming up later, says, as soon as you guys stop calling us Nazis and fascists. And Elon Omar, I know you did. Elon Omar did this weekend. My point is, how do I put it? It's kind of like fifth graders fighting on the school playground. And the teacher says, Al, you shake Bobby's hand, and Bobby, you shake his hand, and now we'll be friends. That's not the way it's going to work. Elon's going to say, we're going to keep calling us MAGAs a bunch of Nazis, and Trump's going to say bad crap. But smart folks like you and I can fix this. We can stop letting that affect anything. And maybe at some point we literally will stop voting for people who use that instead of common sense language. That I don't know how we get around it because it's been going on in politics for a gazillion years. But the idea that we get away from the topic. Trump says bad things. I'm not for it, but let's you and I talk about how we stop $1 billion from. I don't know if it's $1 billion. Maybe it's only 800 million, and I'm over. I don't have a clue. But you and I, with a beverage and I don't know if you in a cigar in my garage, could fix most of this if people would just listen. I believe that to my core. Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being on the show. I presume you take some crap for being on here with me, but I thank you for doing it. I really do. Yeah, I have no doubt. Thank you for being here, Senator. I do appreciate you. We'll be back with more after this.
All right. Thanks.